Welcome back. Well, we have Jeff Parker here to give us the latest updates. So Jeff, thank you so much. I know you're removing your mask. I already moved mine a little earlier.
Just so I can talk to you.
Yeah, no. It's better for this particular circumstance. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. We have a couple pieces of information that we wanted to talk to you about this morning and to our residents. One is first numbers. Unfortunately, we've again in Orange County seen a great spike in the numbers with regards to cases and hospitalization and unfortunately deaths.
Right.
I know you have up on the screen. So yesterday, 780 cases almost reported of new positive cases in the county. If you recall, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we were talking about the 150, 250 range. We popped up to 500, and now we're seeing 780.
Right.
You know, really significant in the sense that it's going on all throughout California, and a number of states have seen this resurgence of the virus. And the impact, obviously, again, to the village is critical that to stay safe, and the fact that we are an at-risk community, it is so important that we understand these numbers, see these numbers, and take the right action to protect ourselves.
Right.
And so really, I want to, again, emphasize, when you're talking about the deaths that are occurring, 80% of the people that are dying from COVID-19 are in that age group that is the village. And so that really scares us from the perspective that we don't want it here in the village as much as possible. We want to restrict it. And the best way to do that is masks, which was the second thing I wanted to talk about.
Right. And you know, it is concerning, although take into consideration how many tests have gone on. So yes, numbers will be bigger, but like you mentioned, you're going to look at the hospitalizations, and then you look at those in ICU and see how those are changing, and those are changing rapidly, and that is also concerning. That
from the perspective of Orange County, but also our neighboring counties. As you've seen recently, Los Angeles, San Bernardino, San Diego's looking at it. Ventura has closed their beaches for this weekend so that they don't have any 4th of July activities on the beaches. Orange County hasn't done that yet, but they're evaluating that right now as we speak.
Right.
But yes, as you indicated, when you look at 510 hospitalizations and the ICU numbers that they're at, that can get very concerning if we start to creep up to the point where we don't have the capacity to handle it, or we're at such high capacity in the ICUs, other serious situations aren't being dealt with appropriately, and that's what they can't afford to have.
Exactly. And you know, one thing that I would definitely say is that, we talked about this earlier, is that we are in a community where we have lots of hospitals. We have lots of availability of beds at this point. However, what I would stress is that if you are scheduled for a visit or a surgery, call your hospital, call your doctor, and talk to them about maybe if you have concerns, because obviously there was a lot of concern at the beginning where they didn't want to go if they had a feeling like they had a heart attack or a stroke. Don't wait. They are well prepared for you to go to the hospital even with COVID.
No, it's very well said, and especially when we had our meeting with Memorial Care, that was one of the emphasis, that they are ready to take care of people, and they don't want people to hesitate, because those are critical medical issues that they need to address immediately.
Right.
And we certainly don't want people to think, well, I got to stay at home for that kind of situation.
Right. Now, of course, you mentioned masks, and I mentioned masks, and we're going to be talking about masks. I think the whole half hour is going to be about masks. So I know that there was a resolution that came out, and it's an emergency resolution obviously, because we're seeing numbers that are increasing. So can you talk a little bit about the resolution?
Sure.
And then some of the feedback?
And I think one of the critical elements is that it is just that. It's an emergency resolution because we're seeing these spikes in these numbers. And the importance by the adoption of the resolution was that the Third and United Mutuals especially were so concerned about the fact that they have a community that's such at risk, and that we were getting information and calls in that people were not wearing masks, that we want to make sure that people understand that it is an order to wear masks when you are outside. and that order is so critical to keeping the spread of COVID-19 from occurring from resident to resident.
Right.
And including in that resolution is also priorities as how we're going to treat contractors coming in, ensuring that they have their mask with them. If they don't have masks, they're not coming into the village to operate, that they need to wear their masks when they're going to and from operations, as well as our VMS staff. We need to make sure that everybody understands that that is critical for our contractors, VMS staff, and our residents to move forward with this compliance. And that's really what it's all about. It's compliance. If people will comply and follow this order, we can be much safer in the community. And that's really, really what we're after. There is an enforcement part of the resolution, but the enforcement only comes when people don't obey the rules and the compliance side of it.
Right.
And we need to make sure that people are aware of how important this is. It's not just wearing a mask isn't just about you. It is about protecting others in the community. So social distancing, wearing masks is so critical,
right,
especially in this time where we're seeing these numbers. If we can do this for a good period of time, the resolution is only for 120 days, that's the maximum. And I know that the boards would like to rescind it and bring it back and modify it if we can, as soon as we can, because they want to have the availability of people getting out there and enjoying their lives. But there's so much information coming through that we need to clamp down on and get compliance right now with people wearing masks and social distancing. And on top of that, I wanted to mention that the governor's speaking at 12. Again, he is going to be talking about additional actions that he is taking to ensure that people are following those rules.
Well, exactly. And also keep in mind that this is not just this community. I mean, this is across the country. You know, this is in Florida, and this is in Arizona, and a variety of other places. So it's not just our community. It's many communities that are also in the same situation that we're in. Another thing that I wanted to just clarify is that if you have a breathing issue, you know, masks are something that is hard for people to wear. But what I'm going to do is later in the program, I'm going to show you guys a different kind of mask that can help you protect yourself, even if you are having some breathing issues. So talk a little bit about those that have medical conditions that can't wear a mask.
Well, there are certain exceptions within the policy as well as the state law with regards to wearing masks. And if you have a medical condition where you cannot wear a mask, all we're saying is if you're out there in the community and are approached by security saying, hey, here's our policy, you're wearing a mask and you're not, if you could bring your note with you, have that available, could show that to the security officer, we're going to use our discretion and we're not going to bother you because we know that you are smart enough and have that information with you that you can provide for us. It's just helpful for you to have that. It's helpful for us for you to give it to, provide it, show it to us. You don't have to actually give it to us so that we know you have that medical condition.
Okay.
We're well aware that there are people like that out there, and we want to treat them fairly.
And I assume that's something they would have to get from their doctor.
And it's easily done.
Sure.
If you have a medical condition, your doctor's saying you can't wear a mask, he'll write you a note for that.
Okay. All right, perfect. And like I mentioned, I will go ahead and show you guys a different kind of face covering that you might be able to use. I know you can get them very easily on Amazon. So, all right, well, good. Anything else?
No, those are the big things. And you covered transportation. I appreciate that. We did work with our Boost program to get the concierge up for this week. And then hopefully next week we'll be back into our normal operation.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Well, we will see you again. Have a great holiday this weekend, and we'll see you next week.
And hopefully everybody will be safe out there.
Yeah.
And enjoy the holiday, but be safe and wear your mask.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back after this, and I have some additional mask information for you, as well as to show you that different type of face covering that you can use. Stay tuned.